everybody. Good evening, and welcome to another edition of the 13th Fleet's After Action Report. As always, it is proudly brought to you by Admiral Tater's Ship Shop. So if you want some really high-quality Armada accessories, this is the place to go. Follow the link there and check it out. Again, if you've played in any tournaments around the country, you have probably seen some of these as prize support. Awesome stuff, so get your hands on it, okay? So I have a new setup here. Some things may go a little bit wacky. I hope they don't, but we'll see what happens here. I want to welcome the team tonight. I had promised that we were going to have Nick, but unfortunately Nick had a prior engagement and I was not aware of that at the time. So we are joined by Garrett, who you can see, and Reuben, whom you can't see.
What's up, everybody?
But we will be
sneaking around.
Yeah, we'll be fixing that issue here in the near future. I've actually got a setup that we're going to try to get his way to get him in video again without all the audio lag that we were having previously. So how you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Waiting to start this
yeah.
campaign again.
Yeah, both excited about that. We've got all the logistics set up, and the first rounds of attacks are planned, but we have not revealed the names yet at Fleets.
Yep.
And I think this is a good place to mention that now that the poll is closed, it is official. People want to see the campaign, so we are going to be rolling with campaign games when we get back to streaming. Now, unfortunately, I will not be doing this Thursday. Scheduling issues as well as equipment fixes are going to prevent me from doing that, but the following Thursday you're going to start seeing the campaign starting in round 2.
Yeah, and then the next podcast we do, we'll have a lot of updates. 2 rounds of combat.
Yeah. And the rules are feeling like they're in a cleaner spot for everybody understanding-wise after going through that huge reorganization and re-edit effort.
Yeah, everything's really, really clean right now. Really excited.
And you can find those updates on Discord right now, can you not?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, including the new map where we added strategic effect tokens to all the planets and added some upgrade slots to some planets. So it's a much more exciting map.
Awesome.
It made the opening very different.
Yeah.
And I'll probably throw some links up in the comments section here, as well as on the Facebook page, maybe even the Instagram. Who knows? Whatever I get around to.
But yeah, so what are we doing today, Chris? What's our schedule here?
Today, I thought we would tell people about what we think on the weapons teams, and we're going to include the boarding party stuff in there. I guess all of those dual slot are considered boarding parties. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a good name for them.
Okay. So yeah, we're going to be looking at all of that today.
Yes, indeedy.
Yeah,
all right. Well, I think we should
thoughts on that.
Start with Rebels. Let's do it. And we'll do weapons team first, and then I think at the end we should swing back to the boarding parties.
Okay.
But yeah, so since this is Rebels, we'll let Reuben take this one away. It's top of the list here. Katekin and Sholin.
You act like Reuben plays Rebels.
Baby, all the way to the top.
S tier, amazing. Do you want me to read it for you, Reuben? I don't know if you've got it in front of you.
Yeah, you go ahead.
All right, so this is a 6-point upgrade card, weapons team slot. While attacking, you may exhaust this card to re-roll any number of dice of one color. It's disgustingly good.
Great card. So, because it's one color, you're looking for ships that make one major attack each round. So competitively, you'll consistently see this card paired with Admiral Akbar and the MC-80 Liberty variant. So for Admiral Akbar, you typically will see the Assault Frigate Mark II-B. You'll see Intel Officer. You'll see Kaken and Sholin and some defensive tech on that ship because it turns to be like 106-ish points of pure uncontained firepower, because with slave turrets and Kaken and Sholin, you're throwing like 6 or 7 reds. You reroll your blanks. You tell them to, hey, don't use that brace or it's gone forever. And then you hot dice your opponent with snack bar double reds and they cry. And then you get free wins. It's great.
Now, there's one thing
Yeah.
that I want to point out to some of the newer players here. You notice that dot in front of the name there. I am assuming that is the indication that this is a unique card. You could only have one of them in your fleet.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, those cards great because, like Reuben says, it can go in the Liberty, but you can put this on the Assault Frigate. You can put this on like an MC-30 with a Sato build and plan some crazy black dice situations with like re-rolling like up to like 6 black dice. Uh, it's just a great card. The only shame we were talking about this before the stream started was you can't take this on the MC-80 Home One, which is it's like the best in theory. It would be the best Akbar ship, right? If it had a weapons team slot, because you could throw so many dice.
If
But
I could run the Assault MC-80 with Akbar, Defiance, and Kaken and Sholin, oh man.
yeah, yeah, Cadence Soul, like out of this whole list of what we're going to talk about, if you see these guys on almost every Rebel list, unless they're flying some sort of MSU thing that doesn't need them, they're always stapled there because it's it's perfect. It's cheap. It's uh, does everything all these other ones do that for rerolls, but in like a more versatile way. Because like you get to pick how many
Mhm.
you want to do, any amount.
Yeah.
It's just wow.
And when
But
you
yeah,
pick any amount, it pushes your bell curve where you basically cut out all your low rolls. So you're only really ever going to push close to average or spike. And that's why it feels so crazy when that Akbar Giga Drill shoots you.
yeah. I always know I'm in a bad time when I'm about to face a full Confire dial Akbar side shot with slave turrets out of an assault frigate. It always leads to just a horrendous hit. Um, and then they're always getting doubles because of this stupid combo of these two Moncal twins.
And
Um,
that's when
Now,
I start cackling.
now,
yeah,
how does this combo with LTTs? Would you roll
So
re-roll the
you
LTTs
would,
first, or
because it's a WoW attacking effect and LTTs is also a WoW attacking effect, you can do as the priority activating player, you choose the order in which they resolve. So you can always just re-roll your blanks with Kaken and Sholin, and then re-roll another one of those blanks if you roll another one with your LTT.
okay?
yeah. So it stacks, and you can re-roll a dice twice with 2 different abilities.
Yeah, as long as the abilities are different.
So it's basically guarantees every red dice is gonna have damage. But yeah, S tier, perfect. So that's our rebel unique. Every faction except the CIS has a unique um, weapons team. So the next one we're going to talk about here is fire control team. Fire control team. I'm going to read it out here. It's during the resolve damage step. You may exhaust this card to resolve one additional critical
Is
effect.
that local fire control?
The fire control team. Uh, and you cannot resolve the same critical effect twice. So this
Okay.
card is really cool. Uh, but it hardly sees play at all because this is a really competitive slot. But I think it's a really well balanced card though, because it's 2 points only 2 points. So if you want to and you deem it worthy, you can combo this card with like assault proton torpedoes or you know uh, HIEs for an ion cannon critical, and you can deal your critical hit and a standard critical hit, or you can try and combo 2 different special critical hits. Because normally you have to choose, like if I'm going to use the APTs or I'm going to use a standard crit. Fire control team allows you to do 2 critical effects. It's a cool card, cheap card, in a really competitive slot. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so it's an interesting card because of its resolving trigger is after you know that you are going to crit because it's during the resolves damage step. So all their defense tokens have been spent. So you know you've got your crit in the pool for like APTs or HIEs. So then you can also go, hey, take your first card face up two, which is really scary, but there are so many things in the weapons team slot that are just, hey, just do more damage. It'll be fine. So you don't see this card as often because like crit generation play in Armada isn't as like reliable as just saying, oh, well, I'll reroll all my blanks and get average or above. Just deal with this damage.
Yeah, I guess it would feel good in something that would be considered a control build, but I've never seen a control build in Armada. Anything that is just geared towards dishing out crits to try to limit what your opponent can do.
Right. So I've tried to use this card um more in the past. I might be able to use it better now that I'm a better player, but I could never get a situation to occur that I could get both at the same time. In a way that it would like come up. Like when I'm also got their shields down and I've got APTs to where I can do the APTs and a face up. It's hard to do. I guess Screed would be a good way to do this card potentially. Screed on like a Gladiator demo build or something. Uh, but yeah, again, competitive slot, fire control team. I got nothing against it. It's 2 points. It's unbelievably cheap, right? Uh, I don't know. You guys got anything else on it? I guess.
Not,
Oh, we got to tier it. We got to tier it. I don't know.
yeah,
I guess this is an average card.
yeah. I was gonna say
Um,
C based on all of the comments there.
Not bad, right? Just hard to use.
Yeah,
Yeah, C, top of D. I don't know. It's mostly just pushed down by other cards just being. There's just a lot of bangers in this slot. We'll get to them.
Yeah, I mean, like the next one is insane, right? The next one I'm gonna let Chris talk about because it's his. He loves his card, and sometimes he forgets to use it, which is pretty funny on one of our streams. Flight controllers, baby. Uh,
yeah.
6 points. This takes squadrons and puts them over the top.
Let's back up here just a moment because
Okay.
JBC 98K has said that you could pair fire control teams with Dodana.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
But then
Yeah.
then they both have that same competitive slot issue. Uh, if you're taking Dodana and fire control team, it's probably because you're not taking Akbar, Agate, or Riken, right? Uh, but I agree. Yes. I mean, that's another way to do it, right? And a way to fish for crits. So Dodana,
It'd be interesting to see that kind of build set up. I've never seen anybody do it, and I still don't feel like my knowledge is deep enough to put together that kind of build.
yeah. I mean, if you could get
Mm,
something like ACMs, assault concussion missiles, and HIE to both go off at the same time, you could strip his shields off a ship in one hit, right?
Dodana, double torpedoes, fire control teams, riffle 8 cards, pick two. That's
Pretty
that's
good.
a lot, that's a lot of damage.
That's pretty good. The only downside is like you've got to like guarantee that blue crit. So then you've got to bring other things to make that happen. Which
Yeah.
all the blue crit fixing is also weapons team usually.
And that's the issue is that to get the crits to go off to play crit control style fleets, you need the weapons team to make sure the crit happens, not
Mm,
Yeah.
make the crits better.
Yeah.
gotcha.
But like if you're on a budget, right? 2 points, throw it in there, yes, right? If you've got a special crit that's also part of the fleet. Or if you're bidding for second player and you've got all objectives that rely on getting crits, like volatile deposits or something, then you could do standard crit plus volatile deposit crit.
Oh.
That's an idea, I guess. You take
Interesting.
I
Idea.
chat the who is that? Whoever commented, like, take that, do a second player bid Dodonna build with FCTs and bake it off objectives that rely on special crits. That sounds like a challenge.
I would love to see it.
What else? You got Ion Storm, right? Ion Storm, and then
Yeah,
what?
volatile ion storm.
What's our yellow? There's got to be a yellow. I can't remember.
Well, yes, I
Um,
have a habit of forgetting flight controllers.
Oh yeah,
You
okay.
know,
Chris is pushing it.
yeah. I don't know what it is. I just I put them on there, and I enjoy my squads. I enjoy taking advantage of it when I remember to.
I think I think a big thing is when you fly, you're usually flying Imperials, and you already have a lot of dice, and so you don't miss that fifth dice
Well, and then
sometimes.
when I was playing CIS, I was always trying to remember the extra dice for AI,
Yeah.
and so I'd forget the extra dice for the flight controllers. So
But yeah, so flight controllers, listen, no questions, S tier. You add a blue when you activate squads. The squads you activate get an extra blue dice to their pool.
I should
S tier,
that is against other squadrons, not against ships, correct?
that's correct. Anti-squadron armament.
Yeah.
So yeah, this goes on quasars. It goes on assault freight carriers. It goes on Venator twos that are pushing squads. This goes on Recusants that are pushing squads. I put flight controllers on CIS Gazantes because I can push like 3 squads with flight controllers from a little gozer with a token. It's really good. All right, with types, and AI, you can boost tri fighters up to ridiculous damage spikes.
and you can do stuff like flight controllers snipe E-wings and throw 4 dice.
Yeah,
Shoot with
five with
shoot with
corn.
wedge for 7. It's it's it doesn't sound like a lot on the card, but with how the squad battle works when it's so snowbally, you getting the alpha strike on those fast squadrons and then getting the extra dice can really just win the squad war in that first activation if you can push enough all at once.
Yeah, this makes like Republic Y wings, especially during peak matchstick days. It was nuts because Y wings were blue black, so you get 2 blues and a black, and I was decimating ace balls with Y wing spam with flight controllers off of Venator. It was great.
When you
Yes,
remember them.
yes. Yeah, flight controllers S tier. Any arguments?
No, no, I absolutely love them.
Amazing.
Reset the clock.
All right, next one is another really good card. Uh, for a lot of builds potentially. It actually got a nerf back in the day. Gunnery team, 7 points. You have to use a Confire token or a Confire command dial to activate this card. So, the next attack you perform this activation can be performed from this hull zone. Each of your hull zones cannot attack the same ship or squadron more than once during your activation. So, gunner teams, a little history. Back in the day, pre 2020 December 1.5 update, there was no cost to this card. You could just gunner team whenever. And this meant when the SSD came out, you could slap gunner teams on it and shoot 3 times out of the same front arc zone, which was pretty awesome. But now it's situational. You got to build it around an idea. Gunner teams on like a Simoon, really good. As long as you got a way to generate Confire tokens, because you can shoot twice at long range out of a Simoon. This still goes on SSDs. Imperials love this card.
Can we
What
take
rebel
away points for
builds
the art?
for the
I hate the art. I
Oh
don't know
man,
why. I
a
just hate the
classic.
art on that.
It's a classic. She's getting ready. She's commanding it. All right. I think it's a rebel too. Actually, yeah. I never noticed this. It's a rebel art, but rebels like never take this card except for maybe on the Liberty.
It's because it's always kicking and shoveling in that slot.
Right, because it's so good.
And
Uh,
we don't have we have one ship that shoots enough dice out the front to really justify a gunnery team, but we need to
Right.
fix the dice first.
Gunner team. Let's see what else can you put on. You can put on a Recusant that's not Patriot's Fist. But really, this card lives on Imperial Star Destroyers, where that's where it makes its money.
Yeah. If
So what
you're
do
in
you
a
say, a
ship heavy
B?
meta, I'd put this in A. Like if you're playing casual, like pickup Armada, you're playing at a local like 8-man to 16-man event. They're typically more ship heavy than like that next tier of like regional or worlds level play. So like if you expect that kind of meta where it's going to be like brawly, fortressy, double large stuff, play gunnies because you can get a lot of advantage out of that because you don't really like shooting an extra shot out of your ISD side isn't going to be as good as just putting two full packages of damage into two pretty tanky targets.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. So Royce, uh, the fleet from Gen Con, he had a Piet fleet with a Simoon with gunner teams. It was incredible, right? Because in one of his games, he had to fight like four hard cells and Patriot's Fist, and he was just boom, 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 boom out the front, just shredding hard cells. Because he was able to generate the tokens with I think another card we're going to talk about, Varnelian, I think. Um, or no, never mind. It's a Beck, Commander Beck. I think it's an officer. But anyways, he was able to get the tokens to generate for Confire. And yeah, he was just double barrels out the front Simoon with gunner teams. But yeah, no, I mean, gunner teams, A tier, I agree. Uh, that's just another banger in this list. All very, like, all these cards, I think, one big thing we were talking about too before the podcast is these cards define the role of the ship that they're on. And we were, still sad about the MC80, but like without that weapons team slot, it never feels like an MC80 pickle has a real role. It's just there on the field. But every other ship in the game, like you could turn a Venator 2 from a carrier and switch it over into a gun platform by changing what's on the flight controllers or clone gunners or vet gunners, right?
Yeah. Really, the best example of that idea is look at Rebel 1, like the Rebel
Yes.
Patriot. Like, because it has double weapons, you look at it and you go, okay, am I dropping this thing with Radis, boarding troopers, or an accessory? Are we doing squadrons, flight controllers, and a other support? That ship, because of its double weapons team, is really strongly defined by what weapons teams you take on it.
Yes. Uh, yeah.
My friend Mallet, who does the Star Wars online streams with me, is saying you can turn any ship into a battering ram with a little luck and a lot of attitude.
That's true. Or like me, poor flying. I can always hit when I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Moving on. Local fire control. So this card, I like vividly remember when this card was teased. Back when these waves were coming out, and everyone was really excited about it because it was a way to get salvo on all the Galactic Civil War ships. Because we knew the Clone War ships were going to have salvo as a new ability, the new defense token, right? It's really exciting. Um, so after you deploy, you must, like you're required to, you must replace one of your defense tokens with a salvo defense token. This is 4 points, and everyone always checks out the contain for this. But this is you can do a lot of really cool stuff with other cards comboing with this to really power up your salvo. But yeah, local fire control.
I
After you
feel
deploy,
like
you must
I feel like
place.
this card is sounds better than what it really is.
Well, that's what I. It is good, but I feel like it's really got to get combined with like flat guns, and then even if you try and build something really weird, like a reactive gunnery plus local fire control, so you can salvo twice. This is our friend Nick. I wish he was here. His SSD, he loves to put local fire control, Officer Palpatine, and flat guns. Um, and that's really cool because you shoot at him, you spend your defense token, and then he local fire controls flat gun salvos back at you from the SSD. It's a beautiful thing. But yeah, it's a cool card. It's again, it's really competitive, and usually it you're taking a ship, and like you said, Chris, better than it sounds, uh, and trying to mold it into something it's not meant to do.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I know I have this habit of when I'm thinking of salvo, I'm not thinking of how many dice I'm actually throwing, and I forget to look at what the rear armament is, because most of the time it's not that good.
Yeah, some ships have like
Yeah,
2 dice, and it's okay, but
yeah. The MC75 could take local. Like you're looking for redundant contains or redundant redirects and one contain. That's typically the ships you're targeting with this, right? So, like the interdictor is decent to put reactive on if you don't want to do something else with it. But
yes,
and the MC75 can do it. Typically, if you're going to do something like that, I played years ago. I played a Radis list with a Liberty that dropped an MC75 that then dropped a Hammerhead. So it was two larges. So it was one deployment with Shara Tycho, and it had reactive gunnery, well, local fire control and flak guns on the 75. And it's very threatening. But then you kind of realize, oh, wait, like I'm going to get shot. And all these Civil War era ships don't really have the dice layouts to really like salvo strongly. So why am I taking this card that could be rerolls or shoot twice or squads better?
I think it's like a
exactly, yeah,
psychological. It's a psychological card. It's one of those things to where I am going to try to make this ship a less appealing target.
So if you're playing one large with a bunch of squads, yeah, think about this. If you don't need to add dice to your squad attack, or if you're not playing like Nita Sloan ISD, because that's a more defensive version of what this is trying to do, where it's going to say, "Oh, you shoot me the large instead of shooting my squads." Well,
right. I'm looking here. Yeah, the best platform to really put it on still is the ISDs, uh, because I get the 3 dice. But uh, yeah, that's my conclusion to that. But yeah, local fire control, it requires a bunch of other crap to go with it.
I
Which
feel like it's a C, but that's just my
yeah,
estimate.
yeah, yeah, probably.
and unfortunately, yeah,
Yeah, C tier. I
Woohoo!
could
it's
I
a
got one
cool
right.
idea.
I could see a world where it's B tier, but yeah, it's just It's I mean, listen, on a SSD, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And on that MC75 with the double contain. But then you lose the ability to put the other weapons team on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
Yes.
what we
Okay.
got next?
Next is a all-time favorite, the Ordnance Experts. This also got a nerf back in the day. It's 4 points, and now it's while attacking, you may reroll up to 2 black dice. And if memory serves me right, this used to be able to reroll all of your black dice
Yes.
when it first came out, which was awesome. Uh, black dice used to be so insane in this game. But yeah, listen, Ordnance Experts is a staple to like a dozen ships. MC30s, gladiators, anything that's throwing at minimum 2 blacks, and you've got a weapons team slot, there's no reason not to put this card on. It's easily S tier, easily. This
The
is, I
top
mean,
of the list.
it's a required card for multiple builds.
I don't like it that much, but then again, I don't play a lot of ships that throw black.
Yeah,
That's just
well,
that that's
we
not
gotta
my
correct that.
that is not my play style.
No, this thing is nuts.
You stay over there and let me shoot you.
And Reuben can explain the statistics of why it's nuts when you're throwing 4 black dice.
So, okay. The average damage of a black die is about 1. For reference, average damage of a red die is about like 0.75. When you reroll a red die, it turns to like 9.2. And when you reroll a black die, it turns into 1.25. So if you roll 4 black dice, odds are you're going to get 1 blank because there's 2 blank sides, 4 hits, 2 hit crits. If you reroll that 1 black with your ordnance experts, it doesn't exhaust. In the whole tournament, if you play 4 rounds, you'll 1 out of the 2 tournaments that you play that go to 4 rounds, you'll reroll that black into a blank again. Like that's how
Double
many
black
games you have to
anti
play.
squadron. If they get in range, bring it on. Absolutely,
Yes,
JBC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
and
nuts.
then or you LTTs them, and then you ordnance experts them, and then you extract the LTT, and you go squadron die.
Yeah, it's a beautiful combo. I'm trying to think. On your test bed, automatic. Gladiator, automatic.
Yep.
Kuat, automatic.
Just like this card goes
MC3,
to automatically to the top of S.
yeah,
Get it
just
up
oh
there.
man, it rivals Cake and Sholin. I think just for its like versatility, because there's no limit to them. You can put on everything.
And for the
Uh,
record, I do not doubt how great this card is. Again, it just doesn't fit the style that I play. So this is why I don't use this terribly often.
we need to get you in the black die ships. Rebel
No,
Providence.
we're fine. We're okay.
Oh man.
I mean,
Well,
I've
It was
got
great to
gladiators, but
demo.
we're still okay.
but yeah. So yeah, super super duper good card. Um, moving on here, we've got Ruthless Strategist, another great card. 4 points. After attacking a squadron, you may deal 1 damage to a friendly squadron engaged with the defender. If you do, the defender suffers 1 damage. This card, first off, has incredibly cool art with the Imperial officer looking at the X-wings fly by, but and proton torpedoes launching. But yeah, you take this card with a ship with great flak, LTTs, or experts, and a bunch of squadrons that have like 6 or more health, and you're gonna have a good time because you're gonna be flacking, dealing a single damage to your boys, and dealing an automatic, not scatterable damage to their squadrons.
Now, how does that work to where it's not scatterable?
Well, because it's not a dice added damage. So
Okay.
it says it's after attacking a squadron. So the attack has occurred. Okay. You may deal 1 damage to a friendly squadron engaged with the defender. So you pick up like a Y wing of yours, take it from 6 to 5, and then you do a 1 damage to the squadron you just finished attacking. So this damage happens after they resolve their defense tokens.
Yep. So they can scatter your die pool attack because how scatter reads is it cancels all the dice in the pool.
Okay.
And that's why. Because after that's done, then you go, okay, I'm going to take a damage on my Y Wing and apply 1 damage to your 3-hull ace.
And I guess it's also important to note as a newer player to point out that this does not exhaust to use it. It can happen on every shot in your flak attack.
Yep. And it
Yeah,
just has to be a squadron engaged with the target or targets. So if you've got a bunch of Y Wings sitting in a ball together, engaged with a bunch of different stuff, you can spread your Ruthless Strategist damage out around your pool so that you get more optimal damage.
yeah. This is so off the top of my head, Yularen Republic, Yularen list with Arc 170s could do some work with this because he's healing his Arc 170s with this ability, and then also doing the ruthless damage strategist. So at no cost to him, he's able to deal extra damage when he's flacking.
Yeah, and you can see this with assault frigate builds if you're supporting like a Biggs Ball or something like that, or Gallant Haven, where you're just adding just that extra ping of damage on top to help your slow but tanky squad ball get through the fight. Um, if you're spamming any sort of like generic based bomber build, those aren't in particular favor right now, meta wise, but they have been in the past, especially out of Galactic Republic. You could, you know, anything that has a blue black flank attack as a ship, and you're not pushing squads that need the extra blue added to them, and you just want to sit there and be tanky and shred them with black, it's a good card. Now, I don't think it's as good because of the opportunity cost that it sits in its slot when you could have flight controllers, which is a more widely applicable upgrade. But if you're playing a particular style, this card is very good. So for me, it's an 8 card.
Yeah. Or if you suffer in a meta that you're having a really hard time of beating somebody's scatter aces that are usually on 3 hole, right? This is a helpful card to finish them. Because you can usually get 1 damage on them, and then you get 2 damage from this. And then instead of it taking 3 rounds to kill somebody, somebody's like Maul or Mythal or whatever, it'll only take you 2 rounds.
I feel like this is really actually probably good with a build that's focused around TI 99 to where you're not really attacking so much. You've got the squad ball there that's getting the counter in there, and then the ship can go ahead and finish things off.
Yeah, the only dangerous part is you've got very little health on CIS squads.
Yeah.
So you'd like need to bring a Belbelub to like sacrifice.
Right.
Or put Grievous in the commander chair and then refresh your tokens when you Ruthless Strategist and shoot your own squads.
Yeah, perfect combo. Perfect combo. Yeah. Love it. But yeah, Ruthless Strategist, 4 points. Listen, I'm gonna say A tier. Because when you're using this card correctly, it does serious damage.
I did slaughter a lot of squads in my Gar Pivotal with Ruthless.
Yeah. Like I couldn't come towards your ship because if I did, my squadrons would get deleted.
All right, so next up is
Sensor Team. Another amazing card for certain builds. 5 points. While attacking, you may exhaust this card and spend 1 die to change one of your dice to a face with an accuracy icon. This thing is just dangerous on any ship where you've got dice to throw away.
I feel like it's
onagers,
good in heavy red builds.
heavy red builds, onagers, ISDs. Anytime you want to guarantee you're getting an accuracy, man, it's just like this card is terrifying to a flotilla-based fleet.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
And on an onager, it's so scary.
Because again, getting back to the point on the odds on red dice, if you're throwing a lot of red dice, you probably have 2 blanks in there, and you could get rid of one to turn the other one into an accuracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see it as much anymore, but before the onager took its points increase, you would see an onager testbed with veteran gunners, sensor teams, and cataclysm. And what it would do is it would sit there and wait. And then when your flotilla happily scooted up the board at speed 2, it would just get toasted off the board immediately because of hitting it with the blacks and the reds. You just reroll the whole pool if you're even slightly under average. And then you go, oh, look, I rerolled into 2 blank reds. Oh, great. Well, that's just a free accuracy, no scatter. Please explode.
Yeah, it's wild. And then Price came back out, and then it was Sensor Team and Price comboed.
Yeah.
Just guaranteed.
Because Empire needed more dice fixing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nuts. That was a rough time. But yeah, Sensor Team, 5 points, guaranteed accuracies. I want to say S tier, but I
feel like because there's so much competition in this slot that it's probably A.
Maybe top of A.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't typically see it on its own now. And the build that it was really common in has gone away because the ship got nerfed, and the card I've only seen on anything that has double weapons team slots, and there's not many of those.
Yeah,
Like
I feel
I,
like people are sleeping on this card more so than not. I think sensor team can be on certain builds, not like non-red dice builds, like heavy blue, heavy black. You could use sensor team.
Okay. What do we have next?
I guess we're done talking about sensor team. Next one is veteran gunners. While attacking, you may exhaust this card to reroll all dice in your attack pool. 5 points. So this card is really cool. Timing wise, this is what a lot of new players forget: is you roll your dice pool. If you roll any accuracies, okay, take that accuracy and spend it. Spend that accuracy, block one of their defense tokens, and then take the other dice, exhaust vet gunners, and then reroll.
Mhm.
Uh,
Didn't know
fantastic
the
card.
timing worked like that, so.
Yes. Important, important, important. Because a lot of people just like not spend their accuracies and just re-roll. And they don't have to do that. They can keep them.
I think Vet Gunners is the card that the weapons team slot is balanced around because of its effect is just solid, predictable, goes in pretty much every sort of build. The only downside is because of its exhaust thing, you really only want to put it on something that shoots one big shot. Like, rebel ships mostly want a double arc, so it's good on them. But we have Kaken and Shola, so it works out kind of the same. This card is just like it's a workhorse card that will do what you want it to do to get you the win.
So,
Yeah.
Patriot's Fist.
Yes. You could put on Patriot's Fist. You don't always sometimes Ord experts are better on Patriot's Fist. Only because you usually have a a bunch of blues you're rolling. You don't want to lose them. But yeah, Patriot's Fist, it goes good on. It goes good on ISDs. It goes good on onagers. It goes good on uh, SSDs. Uh, for the rebels, if you have multiple big ships, Cake and Shell's on one. This is on the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, the Republic, not as useful to them. I have ran it when I'm trying to run Svats. But usually it's just annoying because Svats is blue dice and I don't want to re-roll all of them. So, but yeah, Vet Gunners, awesome card. I don't know. I
Well,
guess
then
yeah, A
again,
tier as well.
because you said you could spend your accuracies before you re-roll the blues. But I
Right.
guess you're worried that you're going to get more accuracies in that batch.
Yeah.
It's just not great to re-roll blues because they're usually gonna land on what you need anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, Vet Gunners. I don't know, guys. I guess A tier. Uh,
B.
you think B tier? I don't know.
I don't know.
This
Yeah.
I'm
is
leaning
no, no,
towards
no.
A because it's more flexible than some of the other cards. It can fit
This
in
card is not
whatever.
played near as much as a lot of other cards on this list. And yeah, like
I don't know.
yes,
Vet Gunners
this
ruled the meta in onagers for like 3 years.
But that's the
like there's
past. We
so
are
many.
looking at it in current environment.
Well, they're
So,
still good. Just people are not playing onagers as much. I
okay.
think kind of out of a what's it called? Community pressure. I think a lot of it is.
Well, they trade fairly now. So you
Yes.
can't just like use an onager to always trade up and get your win. So now that's why they're not getting played as much. So now we just deal with everyone playing this 160 point large that you can't meaningfully kill, and then 134 points of squads, and then a little bit of stuff that's going to fly away. And in
Right.
that kind of environment, you don't see a lot of vet gunners because
Okay.
I'll
it's
concede
not going to push
super
enough
high
damage.
B tier,
Yeah.
but it's a good
Yeah,
card.
like
It's like
top
not
of
bad.
B, it is the card that everything else is balanced around. It's
All
a
Uh,
right.
good card.
this next card is super good. Weapon battery techs. 5 point card. I mean, all these cards are amazingly priced. While attacking a ship, you may change one die with an accuracy icon to a face with a critical icon. And this thing is an absolute menace when you have a platform that you have a bunch of blue dice on, okay? Or H9 turbo lasers on, and then you have a specific blue critical effect you need to trigger. So no matter what, you're gonna get your blue crit because you're gonna use weapon batteries text to change your inaccuracy into that blue crit. You take this card on ship set, that's what you need it for. And so when it is used, it's used to great effect.
I think it's something that can be used very strongly in second player builds where they're focused on objectives just based on a lot of the objectives that I know of.
Yep.
Yeah. If you
Yep.
want to play like a crit control second player kind of farm fleet, I would definitely think about this. If you want to do a more tempo advantage kind of combo build, like Dodonna or something, I would think about this card. Like, it's not here to say my damage pools are always going to be average or above. It's here to say, oh, my overload pulse is always going to set you to exhausted, and then my boarding troopers are always going to get rid of your defense token. Please
Right.
enjoy playing.
Can this go on a
So,
Raider?
uh,
I don't
I
remember if
do,
they've
I
yes,
got a
think.
yes, they
slot.
sure can. Yeah. So this is, I think Nick does this. Nick Latrenta in Chicago. I think he does. I think he has HIEs on a Raider 2 with weapons battery techs, and it's disgusting. And I think he has decaps as well. So he's disposable capacitors on a Raider 2, throws blue dice at you from long range, uh, gets his accuracy because it's blue dice, right? Turns it into a critical, and then triggers his HIEs and strip shields off you, hits you. The Raider comes in again for the next round, and then hits you probably a double arc at close range or medium, and keeps doing that to you over and over and over. Yeah, super cool.
If you like that combo style of play, start with this card and just start think about how do I apply this card on one ship with another ship that does something else to do the effect that I want to do.
Yeah,
Because that's how you play combo Armada.
if you find yourself complaining a lot about your dice not working for you, like rolling bad, start building Armada fleets where your dice are just fixed. Because they exist. You can build a fleet where you don't even need to roll dice.
I
Uh,
mean, TRCs. you know,
yeah, just guarantee hits, right? But yeah, so the last one, well, not last one, second to last year, we got Gunnery Chief Varnellian. All right, so this confuses a lot of these players. It's an intimidating card. It's 6 points. It's a unique Imperial weapons team.
lots of words.
After you deploy, place one red die set to a blank face on this card. If you are the second player, you can set it to any face. While attacking a ship, you may spend one die from the attack pool to exchange it with the die on this card. Both dice remain set to their current faces. This is a really cool card, especially if you're second player, because you can put exactly the red dice that you need on this card. Okay, like a critical or a double or an accuracy. And when you roll your dice, take a blank red and then put this critical hit you needed. Again, guaranteed dice fixing is what this is, and put it in the pool. Uh, yeah, super cool card. Again, guaranteed any face. And if you're first player, right, you roll reds early in the game. Doesn't really matter. You take that red that you want, put it on our card, and put that blank one out there. So just put some thought into it.
And
What
if
do
you
you
have
guys think?
something like veteran gunners or another reroll, what you can do is you can iterate your die pool. So you can throw your original pool. Let's say you roll an extra accuracy that you don't need. You swap it out for the double from Varney if you're playing second player. Put your double in the pool. Accuracy, the flotilla scatter. So it's probably going to die. And you have an extra accuracy sitting in your on Gunner Chief Varnillion. So the next time that onager shoots, you go, oh, I'm shooting your large ship. okay, well, here's my original pool. We'll put this accuracy in. We'll spin this accuracy to hit your important defense token, and then we'll reroll the whole pool. Like it's just such a good card with such a wide timing that if you can think a few turns in ahead, like and really assess that combo, you can really just push so much damage out of this ship with just this one.
Yeah.
So I got a couple of comments here from folks who are watching. First off, Marzams says loves Sabrina, works well with vet gunners. But
Yes.
then more importantly, JBC has a question: how often do you see this card in tournaments?
Carnelian specifically.
Yes.
Well, so she used to be put on onager builds, and you just don't see onagers much anymore. Um, but yeah, I still see her. I saw her. Um, who had that? Was it Gen Con?
There's
I think.
the there's like the Beck Varney Harrow decaps Victory 2 guy.
Is that Paul? That's Paul's fleet in Cincinnati. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
because that fleet, like, it's this weird noisy cricket pocket battleship Victory 2 that's calling the ambulance, but not for it when it shoots you. It's a good ship. There's the Onager, which just iterates a ton of damage with this thing.
Yeah,
It's I think a lot of people don't play it because it's got so many words on it.
yeah. I think
See,
it's hard to use
I
timing
guess
wise.
the biggest question is it better to guarantee that you get one die the way that you want, or the ability to re-roll multiple dice? And it really depends, I guess, on the ship and the build. But
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it
depends on the
depends
dice
on what you're
color.
doing. Yeah, it just depends on what you're trying to trigger.
given
Yeah, I
that
think
this can guarantee you get something specific, I put it in S.
yeah, I
I'd
dice
probably say A, but
dice placement is generally better than rerolls because it's like setting a die is stronger than rerolling a die because you have infinite control instead of some control. I think Varnillion kind of drifted away to the French when Ice came.
Okay, we
oh yeah,
are
'Cause-
running low on time, guys. I know we're going to run over tonight, but we'll
yeah.
need
Oh,
to.
this
Sorry.
is interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting
it
stuff.
is. It is, and
Uh,
I'm really happy that we got a lot of interaction here tonight on the feed.
yeah.
So thank you, guys.
Uh, so the next one we're going to talk about is the Republic's uh unique one. It is Clone Gunners, and it's got a keyword on it. It's clone only. So if you look carefully at like your acclimators and venators, they've got the keyword clone on the ship card. And then the text for it, it is like gunner teams, we got to spend a confire token or confire command dial. You may discard one confire token assigned to another friendly ship at distance 1 to 5 of the defender. If you do, add one blue set to the accuracy icon to your attack pool. This is 4 points. This is a really interesting card. It's another way to. It's the whole idea is like clone synergy when playing. So the cloned gunners can be on a ship, but it can pull confire tokens off other ships that don't have clone gunners. Okay, so that's the key. So you're taking a Pelta or Radiant 7 Consular, slapping munitions resupply, sending confire tokens out, and then on your two gunships, like an Acclimator or like a Venator or whatever, when they're shooting, they take the confire tokens off those other ships to get their blue die. Uh, it's this is a difficult thing to use because you also have to be spending a confire token or confire command dial to activate this, and then got to spend another confire token off another ship. So using this card, you gotta be sweating some brain cells, all right, to make sure that this is triggering.
I feel like the
I think this,
complexity of this lowers the usefulness.
But
yeah,
yeah, it's hard. Yeah,
I think this card suffers the most from the clone wave not being completed because there's obviously something here that they wanted to go to. Because as it stands right now, like this card is a card that says I want to be on like a 7 activation small MSU squad fleet, and guard doesn't have a lot of support for that archetype. Now you could make the argument for like a Pelta and C-70 Chargers and Foam Gunners and Anakin, but that's a whole Rube Goldberg machine of a fleet to try and get doing anything.
Yeah, which
So
this is like
I just
all clone fleets. It's just you're always having to do like 10 things at once. I think the biggest thing that holds this card back more than ships, because like you could take a consular span with Anakin and do some work, but the fact that you also to start using this card, you have to do con fire. That really adds to the tax of what you're trying to do, because it's just you got to have so many things set up to make this happen. It's cool. I think particularly because it's adding a blue accuracy at long range, which is good. But clone ships are crap at long range. Outside of like an acclimator 2 with swivels and you know and a plan to shoot stuff at long range, but then the acclimator 2 panics when anybody gets within medium of it, because it's weak.
easy to
It's
kill. Yeah.
weak and fragile. But yeah, clone gunners.
I would say a C.
I agree. It's probably the one I'm coldest on out of this entire list. I've used it with Anakin, like the new Anakin with his rerolls.
Yeah.
It's fun. I lost. I don't even remember what I played against with it, but I remember it just being a pain to tackle. I can't even think. I know there's a French player, Eldred, I think is his name on Nicholas. I think he flies an Anakin list. I think he uses clone gunners. I don't know. His big brain time, right? Big brain time. Now, Chris, do you want us to go through the boarding troopers, or did you want to save that for another episode?
I feel like we probably, well, we're getting close on time, so I think we're going to save those for another episode. I think that feels right. Maybe we'll talk about them the same time that we talk about the
offensive slots.
Offensive slots, although there's a lot of offensive slots, so we may have to have just a
did
weird.
Did we do offensive already? I feel like we did. I feel like we have. I almost certain.
Maybe we have. Probably. I'll have to go back. I'm
pretty sure I've complained about reserve hangar decks.
Yeah,
okay. We have. We haven't talked about
yeah.
So we'll have to do its own thing, and we'll have a lot longer to talk about these then. But yeah, we are so close on time. I don't think we have enough time to go through all of them. So
we'll dedicate one to them.
Okay, so with that, I will say that we won't be talking about that next time, because next time in 2 weeks, we will be talking about the first couple of rounds of the new Rebellion in the Rim campaign. I will tell you right now that I will not actually be participating in it. I am going to be focusing on getting a lot of tech issues solved. May end up doing some commentary from time to time, just because, well, it's something that I've never done before.
That would actually be really cool.
All right. Yeah.
But I am looking forward to seeing what's going on with that. And I want to thank you guys for being on the show tonight and talking about the weapons teams here.
Our pleasure.
Also want to thank all of you who have joined in the conversation. I appreciate that greatly.
I expect that list of Dodonna second player bid. You have 2 weeks to deliver it.
JBC has been given some homework.
And I'll play it on stream.
We'll do that. We'll play it on stream. Try and make it work.
Just give me some time to read through it and go, and try to put it all together.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. I got a few things for the audience, and I will catch you again in 2 weeks.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
So again, thank you guys for tuning in, and JBC, thank you for the thanks there. I really enjoy doing this, and I think we're gonna have some really interesting results when we get into this Rebellion in the Rim campaign. That was the result of the poll that was taken on Facebook, so everybody wanted to see more of that, and we are more than happy to give that to you. Also, want to let you know that barring disaster, this Sunday is going to be my first stream of Star Wars Outlaws. Picked that up, got the new system set up, so I'm really looking forward to giving you guys a stream on Rebel Outlaws. Probably be 2 hours that we run on that. Also, next Monday, we will have the continuation of the Swoder campaign with Mallet. So that's always a lot of fun. The dichotomy between the two of us is pretty damn cool. But also, I want to remind you, this Thursday, there will not be Thursday Night Armada. We're still having some technical things that we're working on, as well as a bit of a scheduling conflict on my part. So it really didn't work out for this week. But the following week, next week, we will be back to having Thursday Night Armada. I am going to try to have that streamed. There is the possibility that we'll still have the desynced audio. I'm hoping that that's not the case. We'll have to see and work it out. So you guys have a good night, and thank you for watching.